the summer of 1949, the division was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia. They paraded for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The ranks of the division were filled with new men, and it was all spit and polish as the 3rd helped carry out the peacetime mission of the Army, which is preparedness. That mission developed meaning on June 25th, 1950.
You mean Korea, Audie? We who were still in the 3rd Division were watching that situation develop, hearing about the North Koreans moving against the government of South Korea and attempting to take over the whole works. They were trained and prodded by the communists and called themselves the People's Army of North Korea. But it sure seemed as though their enemy was the people themselves. South Korean troops put up a rather disorganized resistance to this aggression. Their small U.S.-equipped army had been surprised and bewildered by the vehemence of the North Korean attack. What began as a political argument was turned into a hot war. The United Nations intervened, and by November 1950, the 3rd Division was in Korea. We mobilized our men and equipment and moved up the east coast of the Korean peninsula to engage the North Korean army on their right flank. The spit and polish of our peacetime training gave way to the tactical problems of the battlefield. By December, we'd advanced beyond the port of Wonsan. But it was here that we discovered that our real enemy was the Chinese communists, millions of them. With the entry of the Chinese forces into the conflict and the subsequent fallback of the United Nations troops, the 3rd Division assumed a defensive mission in the Hamhung-Hungnam area, trading time for space. We took up positions to cover the withdrawal of 2 other divisions into the Hungnam perimeter, holding on to the beachhead until all the remaining units and equipment of the 10th U.S. Corps had been evacuated. Our artillery stood off the advancing communists while the troops were loading aboard landing craft and pushing out to waiting transports. It was a bitter blow to a lot of us who had thought we might be home for Christmas.
Yes, I'll never forget that Christmas. We were almost the present. Tremendous mountains of supplies and stores. But we got it all off the beach, along with thousands of refugees and all of our wounded and disabled. The beachhead narrowed as the communist net was pulled tighter. But even then, we weren't leaving anything for the Reds to make use of when we met them again. With all of our troops safely evacuated, the engineers gave the Reds a final salute.